Tom McDonald just came out with a new song called Right last Friday. It's pretty good. I really like his music. I did one of his songs. I covered one of his songs and I threw some of my own guitars on there. Um, Fake woke, but and it's all on here and the internet and all that. But um, check that out. His new song. Tim Pool is really pushing him, and Tim Pool's song, what is it? I forgot what it's called, but um, I guess it did really, really well on the charts, and I think that this is the push that we need as independent artists. Um, it's the club, the elites, only want to select few in there because they can control them. How they use contracts, advances for musicians, or probably movies do it too. But I know in the music industry, they sign you a contract, they give you an advance, like a loan, basically, and they get to control you. You have a little bit of um creativity, but they completely tell you what you're supposed to do, and if you violate, because I'm pretty sure they probably put it in the contract where they have a lot of power, a lot of weight in decision makings, you as an artist are really limited to what you can honestly do because you are controlled by that club, by the elites. But the record companies also, they were extremely well at marketing. They're not so much anymore. I think that a lot of people end up liking songs because they're played in their head. I know I've listened to a lot of different songs, and I hear it for the first time, and I'm just like, because I used to listen to the radio all the time, and then they played a little bit more, and you start catching on, like, wow, it's very rare in my experience that I hear a song for the first time and I'm just like completely blown away. It's very rare. Um, you hear it more and more, and it just like kind of grows on you. Like a lot of songs kind of do that. And most musicians, it's like most songs that people make, they're not like the popular ones. Usually, not every song on a record is going to be a hit song. There are certain albums in history that every song is pretty much a banger, but usually there's maybe like one, two, possibly three songs on a given album that really see a push, whether it's from the club, the elites. These are the same people who are um, running social media, um, pushing me down on the algorithms, messing with my channel, suppressing things. These are the same type of people. They're in the same club. They don't want um, other people to rise up to prominence because they can't control us. That's what it's about. They want to be able to control them so they can control the sheep. Um, but yeah, it's like most songs that are wrote, they're just kind of trash. I mean, honestly, like I listen to a lot of my songs and they're kind of trash. I mean, I like them or whatever. I wrote them, but a lot of people listen to them and they probably think this is garbage. This is garbage. Probably every single song I wrote, they probably think it's garbage, which is fine. I don't care. But it's like you as an artist, you make and make and make, and not everything is just going to be gold. Not everything's going to be a diamond that you put out. And there's some artists that are better than others, honestly. But I think that we're going into an era of um, lack of creativity. There's lack of boredom. Um, People are not. They have no downtime really because they're always doing something. They're watching a show. They're on their phone or whatever. Like there's no just sitting there like thinking. Um, for the average person. Um, so I think that creativity is really lacking on a lot of fronts, and you're seeing it nowadays. But I think it's going to get even worse, and you're going to see a lot of retro type of stuff coming back. You might even see music kind of like start going backwards, like through the genres um, and popularity. Like just basically going back in reverse, um, all the way from the early 2000s back through the 90s, just back into time because there's just such a lack of creativity. And what you've seen, um, what we've seen was a lot of musicians coming up. They stole other people's art and then they kind of made it their own. They put their own twist on it. Um, and there's only so much you can do. So I think it's just kind of gonna go back in reverse. Um, for right now, creativity wise, I'm kind of like I'm in like a right now. I'm in a apathetic type of mode. I'm playing a lot of video games. I have all types of ideas for songs and videos I want to make, but what really holds me back is the suppression. I think, and I mean honestly, it's like it's hard enough in life to try to create at this point. Um, but it's just because you're never bored. You don't really have time to really come up with a masterpiece because you're always like on the go, pretty much mentally. Um, in movies, you can see it right now, big time. Video games and movies, the lack of creativity is unbelievable. There was a huge explosion in the 2000s with video games. There were so many different like video games, and in the 90s, it was like there was always a new movie that was like so creative and different. And then the thing is, I think that the people in the club they don't they don't want to um, they don't want to divert from what's selling. That's one. I messed up the video I made, but basically what they're doing, like the video I made of a video game being like put into a new case, they're just repackaging stuff that they've already made. Like all these movies coming out next year are either a sequel or part of a trilogy or whatever. You don't really see anything new. Um, like video games, I like to play sports video games a lot, and every single they're pretty much the same game every single year. They don't really upgrade it that much because they don't have to. What? Why? Why would the elite switch things up if the sheep are gonna keep buying the same crap? It's just like these girls on TikTok. You know, the big song right now is that corn song. Is I had to take a break from TikTok because I got tired of it popping up on my feed. It's that little kid saying corn so great and whatever. Um, but girls will put the same content out, the same thing over and over again, and they might be wearing something different, or that's it. They do the same video over and over, and then people are they just continuously buy the same shit. It's just like they repackage themselves because they're the product. But it's the same concept. There's other content creators where I like to look at when they make fun of I do it in my videos where we make fun of CEOs or the way businesses are run, and you come from the point of view of a blue collar worker, and it's pretty much the same video over and over again, the same background, it's the same thing, and it just shows that there is a mass psychosis going on where people are really easily programmed and they can't think outside of the box. I know because I've been programmed a few times in my life. And getting yourself out of that program and talking about truths is not what the club wants. They at least don't want conversation about truths, right? Especially right now, they want everything confused. They don't want people who it's like you can't even have a conversation on this platform last year about what happened in 2020 if it was going against the narrative. You can't even have a conversation, basically, if you're the wrong person. And if you do have the conversation, you got to tiptoe around things because they want to say that it's misinformation. If it is misinformation, if I want to put out misinformation, that's what I want to do. Look at the elites right now. Look at how they're trying to manufacture famines and all that right now. Look at how they're trying to say we have the earth is warming and we're going through a climate change and all that. At the same time, they're not dialing back their own personal life. They're not leading by example. They're still marketing like it's always been. They're still trying to push their products out, and it's like you're like they're just testing us, man. They want to see what we will do. That's what happened like in 2020. They want to see if we'll comply with taking a substance without having much knowledge of it at all. Something that just came out, and and it's not like it was a dire thing for most people, and a lot of people just took it hook, line, and sinker. They and I think that they got what they wanted to know. I think they got the information they wanted to know, that most people will just go along, or they'll just bury their head in the sand and take it and think that things will be okay. But at the end of the day, what's going to happen is those people that, especially the boomers that have the luxury to bury their head in the sand and not really have to think about the future, people like that are not going to have that luxury soon. That's a privilege and that's a luxury to be able to just ignore what's happening right now. And just like live life in obsession about like sports ball. Like I used to love following statistics of sports and following that. It gives me something to talk about with the common man because it's not boring. Politics are boring and economics are boring, but like right now is not the time to sit there and not pay attention to what's happening right now. Not to go back to business as usual. I wish I could just sit here and be like the good old days, right? Where you can just oh yeah, I'm just going through life, and it's like, yeah, you might you work and you have your struggles, but like, yeah, you're just always entertained by sports and that commonality. But I listen to people talk in the locker room, and they were talking about it, and all I could think about when they were talking about it was like how dumb they fucking sound. Like, it's crazy because that was me. That's what I'm saying, is like that was me, and all I could think is like, you're so concerned about somebody else's, like, like how fast somebody can run, what college they went to, how tall they are, how much they weigh, like another man, like, this in-depth information about them, but you're not even paying attention to the seriousness of what's happening in our country, what's happening in our world. um and I wish that we can just sit here and follow that stuff and be like that, and I wish we could, but I think that is highly dangerous. It's just as dangerous as having a child right now. People would call me, um I'm in a cult, I'm in a MAGA cult. You can say whatever you want, but I have kids, and it's fucking hard as hell, man. I feel like a slave out here. Um, it, it's like you're telling people who probably have a lot of mental illnesses because of the fucking environment that they were raised in, just to go ahead and have kids to push your agenda in the future. It's like, fuck your agenda, man. Seriously. You want me to go into extreme poverty and my kids to go into poverty so they can be a slave to this fucking system? Like Elon Musk, I got a lot of respect for that guy, but he's telling us fucking peasants to have fucking kids. And I get it. I understand. Um, you got decreased population, and you don't have the people to take care of the older people in the future. I understand where that mindset's coming from, but we can't just keep growing nonstop either. And who the fuck are you to tell people to have kids when we got kids that are literally starving to death right now in this world? And that just sounds so dumb to me. It's so risky to keep your head in the sand right now. It's almost as risky as going out and getting married to at all if you're a man. As a man right now, you got to be extremely cautious who you're around. You got to be extremely cautious who you get pregnant, because you could just ruin your whole fucking life. There's a lot of predatory um, females that are trying to get easy bags off of men and using manipulation. Not all, but men are just being completely trashed right now, and it's frustrating because we are the ones who do most of the dirty jobs that keep this fucking infrastructure going. You look at Jackson, Mississippi. They don't have water. They have raw sewage going through their pipes. Do you think, how many women do you think are working in the sewer? How many women want to pump out sewage for Roto-Rooter? Hardly any. And we got, I know it's on the internet, but the total disrespect for men nowadays, which I understand there's a lot of bad things about men, like lack of masculinity, lack of father figures, lack of leadership, guys out here like Andrew Tate promoting materialism, which I like a lot of things he says, but I don't agree with the materialism and out here trying to bang all these chicks. That ain't gonna make you happy in the long run. That might give you some happiness in the moment, but it's not gonna give you long term happiness. And you got these females who believe in feminism and female empowerment, but at the end of the day, when they're like 60 and they don't have kids, and their life is hollow and nobody cares about them. Yeah, there's an actress, an old friend of mine. She told me about this actress that died in Hollywood. She was an old, I forgot her name. She was an old Hollywood actress, popular, and she was dead in her house for a whole year. That's the female's future. You know, women can live it up right now. You can live it up in your 20s for sure. You can live it up in your 30s. You can live it up in your 40s, in your 50s, in your maybe even in your 60s if you take care of yourself right. But at some point in your life, you you're gonna realize that you bought into a lie, and your materialism isn't going to make you happy anymore. It makes you happy when you're young, but when you get to be older, relationships are what really matters. And all that popularity, all these likes on here ain't going to mean shit when you're by yourself and nobody cares about you anymore. Look at these old celebrities that were in movies before on TikTok, and they may only have like 15,000 followers. It's like, I know it's just TikTok and I know it's all bots or whatever, but I mean, I had a TikTok where I had 10,000 followers before, and I was going up quick, but that just shows like it all the popularity only matters for the moment. It's not long lasting. It's not going to matter in 20 years. Um People will forget about you. It doesn't even matter how big of a star you are. When you're popular and when you when you're popular when you're younger or whatever, some moment in your life, and that ship has sailed, and you're just by yourself because you're a crappy person, and no one wants to be around you. It's gonna hit hard. It's gonna hit hard for a lot of people. Um, Crazy. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's coming in front of us. I don't know if we're gonna be going through a depression. I don't know if we're gonna be going through severe societal reduction. Um, if we're gonna go back to the old days, um, or we're gonna keep progressing. Uh, I think we made a lot of good steps forward, and the club is trying to put us backwards by making us fight each other. Honestly, they want us to fight each other, so we don't look at them because they want to control us nonstop. Um, they're doing their damnedest. At some point, they're gonna lose their grip on their control. And you can see it like these celebrities that have all the material wealth they want, but they ain't nothing. A lot of people, I can already see it. People are just tired of them. Um, it's almost like people who continue to value material possessions just seem like they're slaves, man. Because if you can think I'm a leftist or whatever, I don't care. You could say I'm a grifter too, whatever. But the thing is, those material things will only give you satisfactions for so long, and then you'll want to replace it or get more, and it's never going to be enough. I think that's why monks, who seem to probably be most in tune with themselves, they practice anti-materialism or minimalism. They practice that like they don't have nothing really. And I think those people are some of the most peaceful people on this planet. They're not tied down to anything. And when you own, I know it sounds like I sound like a freaking New World Order, like, oh, nothing and you'll be happy. There is some happiness and blissfulness in not owning stuff, because you don't have to have that responsibility of maintaining it or securing it. You could, I tell my kids, and it's like, if you want to drive your favorite car, just go rent it. It might cost you a ton of money to save up to rent that car, but what, you know how much money you will save in the long run by just renting it and having that experience, as opposed to go buying it and then having to maintain that sucker, paying it off and maintaining it. You know, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about, I guess. I don't know how long this channel is gonna last. I'm surprised it actually lasts this long, and that's part of part of the reason why my artistic passion is kind of at like a um like a neutral part right now, where I don't really feel like creating anything, is the suppression of my ability to be able to get it out. Because it's like, for me, you know, I hear all these red pill guys, oh, do this, do that. Yeah, and I have a lot of respect for them, and they say a lot of good things. But for you to tell me to keep doing this or doing that, that's what makes you happy. Like, who the hell are you to tell somebody not to play video games? If somebody wants to play video games and that makes them happy and that has value in their life, maybe it doesn't have value in somebody else's life, but if you look at somebody like Destiny, he plays video games and he talks about political stuff, but look how much money he makes just by playing video games and streaming. You know what I mean? So it's like, is that not successful? You know, there's not just one way to be successful. And in this world where things are really confusing, both genders are confused. Some people don't know what they are. It's it, you want to try to better yourself, but there is a constant demoralization going on as well. The news is always like going back and forth, like, oh, my side's winning or your side's winning, oh, my side's winning or your side's winning. All this, it's always fear. Everything's fucking fear, man. The fear of having to go to work, because if you don't go to work, then then you'll be homeless. And we can't just, I'm not a socialist, okay? I'm not a socialist at all. You can't just put somebody's hard-earned time and just like steal it from them so somebody else can have their luxury. There definitely has to be, there's definitely value in keeping this infrastructure going, because it takes people's time. But I think that a lot of the new generation are just waking up to realizing that companies don't care about us. They're just trying to sell us product, and this old school way of doing things, of using fear-based motivation, is coming to an end. We're just tired of it. I can relate to Gen Z in a lot of different levels, and I'm like a couple generations above them. People want to do what makes them happy, and it's hard to find that nowadays, honestly.